Hello, everyone. My name is Caitlin, and I got my January reading wrap up for you guys. So, for the first book of January, I read This Golden Flame by Emily Victoria, and I gave it a 3 out of 5 stars because the fact is that it didn't have what I was expecting it to. I thought it'd have a little bit more romance between the characters, even though I knew going into it, it was like just a sci-fi fantasy. It wasn't like a love story going into it, and I loved the little romances between the side characters, Karis, his friend, and then yeah, and it was okay, but like fantasy, I don't think sci-fi is really for me because I didn't really get the plot of this book, and that could just be because I'm like stupid or something. But if I understood it a lot more, I feel like it would have been a 5 stars. Or if there was like a sequel to it, I believe it could have also been a 5 stars. But the reason why it was a 3 stars was because I did like the bond between the two characters, and I loved how they went through some hardship. They went through some hardships towards the end, and they were able to overcome it. And overall, I think it was a pretty okay book. So my next book I got for you guys today is Ice Planet Barbarians by Ruby Dixon, and this is a fantasy romance. So there's Georgie, and she gets kidnapped in her sleep, and so do these other women, and they get abducted by these green aliens, and something happens, and they break out into the pods, and they land in this deserted like ice wasteland full of snow, and they have no water, no food. It's cold. So Georgie, being the leader of the group, takes off to go see what she can find, see if she can find some water nearby. And what she does is she gets distracted, and she thinks that she sees like some kind of like monster, but it turns out this monster is just a blue alien named Vital, and I loved him. I loved how they first met. When she woke up and she saw what was going on, she's like, and that part made me laugh. Her thinking, "Oh, this is just a dream." And this was my first spicy book of the year. I've read a few spicy books, but this one I loved. I thought that this wasn't gonna have a plot to it, but it somehow had a plot. But I loved it. There were other people in it, and I believe this is a 20 book series, and it follows each of the characters in the series, how they made having kids, all this kind of like fun stuff. But overall, the 4 stars was I loved the spicy scenes, was especially why I got the 4 stars. The 3 stars was because it got the plot, and I loved the plot. I loved the romance, loved the spicy scenes. I loved how she was able to finally be able to communicate with these aliens that had no idea how to speak English towards them. But overall, I'd say it was a pretty good read, and I am definitely going to pick up the second book, Barbarian. No, it's not Barbarian. Barbarian Alien. That is definitely the second book in the series. And that's the next thing. Also in this book, it has the novella in it called it's their honeymoon, and it's like their own book. That one I also gave a 4 stars, I believe, because it felt just as like it was a part of this story, and I did love that it was added towards it, so you wouldn't have to purchase another copy. And this is the special edition too, so that's what makes it like really cool, like to own. And I can't wait to pick up book 2 and maybe continue on with the series, and yeah, we'll see how it goes. So my next 4-star read of 2022 of January was Vampire Academy by Rochelle Mead. This book, I can't put it into words how much I loved this book. I loved all its characters. I loved the plot. I loved all the different like species, the Morai, the Strigoi, the you know what. And the first time I heard of this, I watched the movie, and I didn't know it was a book at first. And when I found out there was a book, I definitely had to pick it up. But I've had it on my shelf for a long time, and I wasn't able to pick it up. But I finally picked it up for one of my first books of the year, and in that saying, I gave it a 4 stars. It's just the characters, the romance, Dimitri. Oh my gosh, I love the lore. Like I said, I am very bad at descriptions. So if you want, just go ahead and look it up on Goodreads, and it'll like display a perfect description of what Vampire Academy is. I believe it is a 6-book series, and then there is a spin-off series called the Bloodline series, and it's in the same world as the Vampire Academy, the same characters. You see the characters interact later on in the books, I believe. And after all, this was just a really good read and I enjoyed it. So speaking of more 4 stars, I got another 4 star for you guys, and that is In the Ravenous Dark by A.M. Strickland. This book is the beautiful Illumicrate edition that I had to purchase through eBay because I missed out on it. And I gave this, I forget why I gave it a 4 stars. I just know I loved it, but I didn't like devour it. It took me like 3 or 4 or 5 days to read. And I love how there was 3 characters. It's like a reverse harem. It's female, female, male, and I loved that in this book. I loved how she, I can't say much about it. I hardly remember it, but what I do remember is I remember the romance. That's the most part I remember about the book. But I remember that it was a 4 stars just because of the way it ended. They all ended up together. It was beautiful seeing how it turned out and meeting all these morally great characters. And yeah, it deserved its 4 stars. Definitely, I need to reread it so I remember what it's about because I honestly do not remember. I just know she's bound to like this guy, and you know what? Her father disappeared. Her father, I know, I guess she thinks her father died, but turns out her father didn't die. And later on, she finds out that he's remarried and he has another family, and he has this. I think it's what it's called, a guardian or something, and he's like a ghost that's been around for years, and he becomes her guardian as well, so he follows her around through it. And I know that there's really good banter between them, how she hates him at first, so it's like an enemies to lovers. And then with the female, she loves the female. When she first meets the female, she develops an attraction instantly, and that's what I just loved about this book was the romance aspect of it and the fantasy. But yeah, so and then my last 4 star read, which I'm sorry to say, I thought I was expecting to give it a 5 stars, is The Raven and the Dove by Caitlin Davis. So I believe there's 3 other books in this series, and those are my dogs and my mother. But this is Raven and the Dove. It's more of a romance. Like I said, I'm bad at remembering stuff. That's why when I make my videos in the future, I gotta make sure I actually remember what the plot is. Maybe take some notes and write down some notes. But I know that there's dragons in this. There's betrayal in it. There's reverse where the 2 brothers they switch places, and she falls in love with the one brother, and she can't be with the brother because she's already engaged to his brother. And I think that this was a really good fantasy, and I loved how Caitlin Davis, aka Caitlin, so you get it, we're both Caitlin, and I absolutely loved The Raven and the Dove. I loved Liliana. I loved Ralph. I loved Cassie as well, and I think I'm expecting a romance between Cassie and Xander because they're so cute together. At the end of this book, it's just there's a romance. There's not a romance between them, but it's just what I'm expecting. I don't want to spoil anything, but that was my 4-star reads. So I was glad to read all those books in January, and I can't wait to read more throughout the year and show you guys what I've been reading. And I just want to thank you all so much for tuning into this channel because I'm not expecting a lot of viewers because I'm new and it's going to take a while to build up my channel, but I hope eventually that you guys fall in love with me as much as I'm probably going to fall in love with all you awesome folks on YouTube, on BookTube. And I will see you guys next time, and until then, bye guys.